Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
Series 6 of the Plant-Based Podcast is brought to you with the help of Vivara UK. Vivara are a team of garden wildlife experts, and their mission is to make nature accessible to everyone. They provide ideas and solutions to create more wildlife habitats, from large green spaces to small urban areas. Join them at vivara.co.uk today.
So in this episode of the Plant-Based Podcast, we are going large. You may have heard of Grandad Gerald. Now, 72-year-old Gerald started a Twitter account to share his growing of big and small vegetables. Hundreds of thousands of followers later, 308,000 to be precise, he has a book deal and he's appeared in a Gucci campaign as well. And we needed to find out more. So let's say a warm welcome to the king of big veg. Hey, Gerald.
Good day. Thank you.
That is like that's a massive introduction. I'm so excited to chat with you, Gerald. Honestly, it's amazing what you've done. But first of all, Michael just said in that intro, you have over 300,000 Twitter followers. How did that happen?
Well, Elizabeth is my partner. We moved here 5 years ago, and from spending a lifetime of fishing, I was getting bored and I wanted to do something other. Now, I've always been a gardener, but I thought I'm going to cut back on fishing and do more gardening, because we got a lovely garden here. It was a blank canvas. And so the first thing I done was built a shed and then 2 greenhouses with the help from my nephew. Then in February of 2019, a friend of mine up country said, have you ever thought of social media, Twitter, etc.? And I said, no, I haven't. He said, well, there's one or 2 gardening forums and we just link with each other. And I thought about it and I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. Just me and my garden.
Yeah.
Because I was aware that social media can be quite derisive. And I just wanted something. So I got my nephew to set up a Twitter account for me, because I'm not the brightest when it comes to computers. And over the next few months, I put 1 or 2 photographs in, had 1 or 2 photographs and comments.
Yeah.
And in May of 2020, I had a 30-litre tub of potatoes ready to harvest in the greenhouse. And I gave Liz my iPhone and said, let's do a couple photographs. And so I got the tub of potatoes out onto the lawn in front of the greenhouse, emptied them out, done a couple photographs and posted them on Twitter. And basically the phone just started twitting and buzzing and making all sorts
Twitting, I love that.
and I didn't really know what was happening. Yeah. And then I couldn't even mute it because I didn't know how to. So I started hiding the phone. But, it just got that I had to do something. I couldn't bury it.
Yeah.
So I phoned my nephew up and he come back to me a while later, an hour later, and said, you've gone viral with your spuds. And I said, yeah, I know what viral is, but what text? What sort of, well, he said people all over the world are liking what they've seen.
Wow.
And over the next 72 hours, I went up to 9,000 followers and I had 78,000 likes. And the rest has just been a juggernaut journey. It's just non-stop.
The power of potatoes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing. Like, just it literally has happened overnight, and then it's just all kind of gone crazy from there. I think it's really exciting, though, to see so many people so interested, in what you're doing in gardening and stuff. It's really, really cool. I love it.
Well, I like talking. I like talking to people, and I'm the first one to understand that, with COVID, etc., the world still is a dark place. And we needed something to take us away from the doom and gloom of television and radio at the time. And I think that's got something to do with people locking on to me, because I am an extrovert. I like talking. My allotment is next to a footpath, and people more so now than at the beginning just like talking. And my aim is to get people into gardening. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. It's not complicated. Man has been growing food for survival since time memorial. So let's get everybody into growing a few veg.
Yeah, I love that. I completely agree with you. And actually, if there's anything, that's been very good that's come out of the whole last couple of years in the pandemic, it has to be that more people are interested in nature and specifically gardening. So, you being out there with your over 300,000 followers going viral with your potatoes has most definitely helped, I'm quite sure.
I mean, it's got to the point now where I have to plan my days because of things coming through all the time, and I have to keep a diary, otherwise I'd just be snowed under. But as long as it gives people happiness and enjoyment, long may it continue. I won't get involved in any sort of politics or sport. That's my private life.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm very similar, Gerald. I never need to share, opinions on stuff because it's not the place really. That is your private thoughts most of the time.
Yeah.
And I think people really appreciate that because they're coming to you to learn about giant veg and growing veg, and that's exactly what they get, so it makes a lot of sense. But before we ask about your actual growing and the space you grow in, how are you handling the fame? Because are people actually recognizing you kind of in real life now? Has that happened? What do your allotment friends think of you having this big Twitter following?
Locally, it's very good because all the people recognizing me are my friends anyway. So I like the village likes me. But it's away from my locality where since the book I've been doing one or two literary festivals and book signings, and people from hundreds of miles away now are recognizing me. And I never thought I'd do it, but I sort of most weeks people want selfies.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing, which I'm happy to do. It makes people happy.
Yeah.
I was getting some ingredients for something in the shop today, and this lady tapped me on the shoulder and smiled and pointed her to her camera.
Oh, wow. No way. That's really cool. And you've done a little bit of TV as well, haven't you?
I seem to be doing lots of everything.
Yeah.
And Yes, I've done a bit of TV, and I've never done it before.
Uh-huh. You enjoyed it?
Yes.
Yeah.
First
Cool.
and foremost, I'm a gardener.
Mm-hmm.
But if people want to do this with me, whether it's a program or an interview, I'm happy for it. If it spreads a nice positive word.
I love that. I love the positivity. We've needed that over the last few years, and here you are giving it in abundance.
Thank you.
It all started with potatoes, and I particularly love that also because of all of the things that you can grow and harvest. No matter what vegetable you are growing, nothing beats digging up the potatoes, does it? There's just something so special about it.
It's a staple, isn't it? Rice, pasta, potatoes. It's a staple.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so you've obviously grown loads of vegetables. You've always been a gardener. Is it all about like the big, like giant veg, or what's the most unique thing you've grown, whatever size it is? What do you love growing?
First and foremost, I'm just a gardener.
Mm-hmm.
I like playing with the soil. I like doing things with the compost and the soil and planting seeds and plants and watching them grow, to produce food. That's the basics. I love doing that. But this last sort of, say, 10 years maximum, I thought, wonder if I could put the ethos of when I was fishing, I wanted to catch the heaviest fish or the longest fish. And I thought, why can't I do that with vegetables now? Mm-hmm. So I've tried to sort of match the two together, and it seems to work.
I love that. You've gone from fishing big fish to growing big veg.
Yeah, I was quite lucky fish-wise. I've travelled across Europe and caught quite a lot of big fish. I've had European catfish, 180 pound, 50 pound carp, 20 pound trout.
Tell us about some of your big veg then, in comparison to the big fish.
Did you win any awards? Are you in the Guinness Book of Records or any of these?
I don't work on world records. I work on PBs, personal best.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Because if you put too much emphasis on a record, you're putting pressure on yourself, which is not good for you. But if you can grow something, say, 1 ounce heavier this year than you grew last year, you've succeeded. But even if it don't happen, you've still grown a nice vegetable to eat.
I love that. I love that it's
a really lovely ethos.
It really is. And it's not putting pressure on yourself, because I do think that there is an element of pressure on social media. It's an amazing place, a great community. You can learn so much about gardening. The gardening community online is so wonderful, but there is an element of pressure, where you see someone else growing perfect cabbages or like the biggest lettuce heads or whatever it might be. And then there's a little bit of pressure to do that, isn't there?
I'll tell you something, what happened a few weeks ago. I had a big cabbage growing, and I was due to be at Malvern, which is the big show at Malvern, and I was prompted to enter it because it stood a chance of winning. But it was still growing, and earlier this year, I promised a charity I'm involved in. It's called Farm Mobility. It's a farming charity in Oxfordshire helping young adults with problems.
Right.
And the Blenheim Estate had an autumn festival, and they had a tent there, to try and advertise their charity. And the gentleman asked me if I'd go along. And I said, I'd love to. And I took my biggest marrow one or two other vegetables, and my biggest cabbage. And it made so many people happy that day. Well, 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. You know, everybody were coming and talking about it, and then talking about the charity. And I got a bigger buzz out of the cabbage, by the way, weighed 36 kilograms, which I have been told. Well, it's about... It would just about go in the back of a transit van.
Oh, okay, that's big. Because I picked one of Ellen's at the weekend, and that was bigger than my head, and I thought that was big.
I was going to say, Gerald, I want to know how big it is. I want to know if mine beats you. Not that I'm competitive or anything.
But you
and it gave so many people enjoyment to see that cabbage and then talk about the charity, etc. I felt I'd done such a good job, better than just winning, say, a card, the first prize on it.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really great way of looking at things, isn't it? I can't wait till part 2 when we talk about how to grow giant veg, because the cabbages on my allotment grow really well, and I get some really big, beautiful cabbages.
Good.
But I'd love to get my own personal best year on year and try to get them a little bit bigger each year. So I can't wait to talk about that later.
In part 2, I'll tell you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Before we go to part 2, tell us a bit more about the work you've been doing. So you got big on social media, you've done TV. There's often a quote about you doing some work with Gucci. What is that about? What's been happening there, Gerald?
When all this started kicking off, we decided, because I've got, apart from my nephew helping if we get stuck on something, it's just Elizabeth and myself.
Wow. Amazing.
And we sit down after our evening meal and just run through with our iPhones and diaries just to check things out. And there was a private message from a lady from an organisation representing Gucci, saying, could we get in touch, please? And I showed Liz and said, somebody's having a laugh. This is a wind-up. And Elizabeth, being Elizabeth, said, no, let's see it through. Let's be polite and return. So I returned, and a few days later, a Zoom meeting was arranged, followed by another Zoom meeting in Berlin, followed by another meeting from people all over the world staring at me. Explaining what they want to do. Now I was starting to understand that Gucci are getting quite heavy into working with recycled material.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And they like what I do with recycling. And they thought, let's try Gerald. And a few weeks later, I was whisked off to a private address one Thursday night in Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
And the next 2 days, I lived the life of a film star. And it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was very, very cold, snow, rain.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, Gucci have allowed 30 seconds of film so far, because, even I don't know what they're going to do.
Oh, so it hasn't been released yet then?
No.
Okay.
30 seconds has been, allowed on social media.
Right.
And I was just overwhelmed. I was treated like Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood of the gardening world.
Yeah, did you have some demands? What were your
my
demands?
own dressing gown, my own changing room, toilets. And it was just so nice. A gentleman looking after me all the time, giving me Mars bars, cups of coffee, whatever I wanted. It seemed to appear.
What I want to know, Gerald, is, I don't know if you've ever heard, but the story goes, it's probably not true whatsoever, but Beyonce has to have green M&Ms in her dressing room. Did you require anything quite so specific in your dressing room?
Yeah, have a demand. Mine is sort of vanilla crisp.
No, I was quite happy with the Mars bar.
Yeah.
And one to take home.
Well, from fisherman to film star, we can't wait to see what comes out with Gucci. That's very, very exciting.
You know, I was really gobsmacked.
Cool.
Because they were perfect. And of course, we were right into the pandemic at the time. And there was doctors there was a medical room, nurses, everything. You know, no stone was left unturned.
So you were safe and you were filming, and we will get to see it very soon. That's really, really great, Gerald. I'm so pleased. I'm super chuffed to meet you as well on the podcast and chat with you, because it's just it's always so refreshing to see something like this in the world of horticulture. You know, it sort of brings people together. You have such a positive, you know, outlook on everything as well. And it's really, really important, especially during tough times as well. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
Cool. And I think the modesty really helps as well. You know, you just want to share plants with people and gardening, and it's just fantastic. Well, stick around, because in part 2, we're going to look at a few of your tips so that people at home can grow better vegetables.
Bigger.
And if it's fishing tips, bigger and better, so people can get a personal best at home. But also, I'm so intrigued by this kind of element of the, you know, how you went bigger with fishing and how you then related that to growing veg at home. So stick around for part 2. We'll be back very shortly.
Hi, it's me, Caroline, from Caroline Horn, Suffolk Photography. Thanks once again to Ellen and Michael for kindly inviting me to chat away to you on this brilliant podcast about a few of my photography tips. I hope you've had a great gardening week. What have you been up to? I've just started looking at what I'm going to grow in my garden this year, particularly plants I want to photograph. Now, bear with me on the pronunciation of this, because I do love a Chioggia beetroot. You know, the variety you cut in half, and there before you are rings of pink and white. And they're just great to photograph when they're sliced. I put them in a salad. It just gives a real pop of colour. And I also love growing colourful rainbow carrots with the children, and of course then eat them straight from the garden. Last week I chatted about a few basic photography fundamentals using smartphones, composition, light, and getting down real low to plant view level, and even turning your phone upside down. So in this episode, I'm now just finding things from the shed or about the house, rather than buying expensive photography kit to help create better images. But firstly, where is your phone? Mine is often in my pocket at the bottom of my bag, or a small child has got hold of it and is playing some ghastly game and having just eaten something really sticky, or I've just left it in the shed. Have a think, when was the last time you cleaned your phone camera lens? Every day? Even I admit I don't clean mine every day. Once a month, or how about never? Let's give the phone a little bit of TLC. After all, you've upgraded your phone for the super brilliant camera function, and then if, like me, you find a new one is launched a few weeks later, and then off I trot and sulk. If you're a spec wearer like myself, then the glasses cleaning cloth is a perfect item for cleaning your lens. Don't use your sleeve, as it will leave tiny fibres over your lens and other bits that we're just not going to talk about. So clean the lens equals a better picture quality. It's quite simple. So now we can begin. Grab a cushion or a kneading pad. I like to photograph in comfort, especially when photographing things at ground levels. If it's wet, I'll use a bag for life to lay on. Actually, just last week, I was photographing thousands of beautiful hellebores grown by Chris at So Successful, who laughed when he saw me laying on the floor of the polytunnel trying to get underneath the plants. Luckily, I had a cushion in the car. No, it wasn't on the parcel shelf. I don't have an Austin Princess. And I'm still trying to fathom out to this day why people put cushions on the parcel shelf. Sorry, I was digressing a little bit there. But being comfortable whilst I work really helps, especially if I'm doing macro work, as I can just become a little bit more stable on my elbows when I'm propping my camera up. It's just more comfortable. So imagine you photographed a tomato and you look at your image and there are some really bright highlighted areas, not the evenly lit, juicy colour popping picture you're after. If you have a seed packet close to hand, you can use this just to shield the light when it's a bit too harsh. Remember, if the sun is behind you, your shadow or even your phone shadow will be in the picture as well. So shuffle around a bit and use your seed packet to just block out some of the harsh light, which will help sort of reduce those white areas highlighted areas on the tomato, and have the light coming in for the side often helps, and it just makes it a more evenly lit image. You can actually buy diffusers online quite inexpensively. There is one online company that does them for under a tenner, and they're not too bad. I have a large size one, and then I have a smaller one which is more suitable for when I'm working with plants. And they have different layers that you can add or take off, and like I said, they come in various sizing. But I'll quickly explain what each layer does. A white reflector helps bounce light onto the subject, so you're basically filling it when it's a particularly sunny day. Have you noticed when you photographed into the light, the subject matter is often dark? So when you use the piece of paper or the card, or you've gone out and bought a reflector, you can bounce this light back onto the subject without having to use the flash. Just tilt the paper fairly close to, say, like the tomato, that you want to get that achieved look. And you will then find you will create an evenly lit colour, bring some of the light back in. If it's in a sort of slightly duller spot, you've got the light coming in at you. And it just gets a little bit of shadow for definition, and it'll bring the whole image together. A black reflector actually isn't really a reflector, as black absorbs light, and use this to create shadow rather than removing it. You tend to use it when you're on one side of the object you are photographed is brightly lit and you want to tone it down a bit as well, or when light is too even, you can then just use it to create more shadow for a more dimensional image. So you could turn an empty compost bag inside out, as they're normally black inside, then make a frame with some bean poles, which you'll have laying about in the garden, particularly if you're growing sweet peas and runner beans and stuff. Make a frame with this and then slip your compost bag over the top, and you've instantly made a reflector. A diffuser, as it sounds, will diffuse your light. So basically you place it directly between the light source and the subject matter. It softens light rather than fill the shadows, and you may have some fleece or muslin in the shed, which again you can attach to your beanpole frame, which you use to make your black reflector with. Now, a silver reflector will give a much cooler cast to the image, and then the gold side, which you often get in these 4-in-1 reflectors, will then give you that warm sort of golden hour cast to your photography. So when photographing plants, either with my phone or DSLR, I will rarely use a flash, as it can be too harsh. And using these reflectors will give you a bit more control in different lighting situations. So the best way is really to play with the light, to have some fun with it, experiment, look at where the light is falling, move around and see what patterns are creating and where the shadows are falling. You can get some really interesting portrait shots using plants, particularly say you've got a greenhouse and you've got some quite sort of fern type plants. If you've got the sunlight coming in from the side and it's sending the shadows across. Just find that sort of bit between the middle and then you can sort of frame, and you've got this sort of beautiful sort of a garden portrait photo. So next time we're going to chat a little bit about why I like to combine gardening and photography, kind of a sort of wellness thing. But remember, clean that lens, go out and explore. Bye for now.
So we're back for part 2 of the episode today, and we're here with the amazing Gerald, or Grandad Gerald, who's gone from fisherman to film star. He is a true giant veg growing, gardening Twitterer in the world of horticulture, and we're thrilled to have you here on the podcast today, Gerald. We've been chatting about kind of your rise to fame and your giant veg, but part 2 of the episodes on the plant-based podcast are always about how our listeners can take some tips home for themselves. So how they can grow some giant veg at home, or any kind of vegetable growing tips that you do have overall. So first of all, what's the best way to start with growing veg? What would you recommend? Anyone who's new to gardening and they want to grow their own vegetables, what do you recommend? What are your kind of top tips?
1 bucket with 1 potato, 1 10-litre bucket, which is about the standard size bucket, and 1, possibly 2 seed potatoes and some compost. And that will give you, I can almost guarantee, if you look after it, it will give you a meal for 2 for a couple of days. Mm-hmm. And the taste you'll experience is better than anything you've bought. The best supermarket in the world won't reciprocate that taste.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think when any of us who grow our own, we always say that to people. I'm always saying, oh, the veg I grow on my allotment, you just can't beat it. You can't beat the flavour of homegrown vegetable. And I think until other people try it, they don't realise the difference. Like potatoes, the flavour is just so much nicer. I have a friend who he didn't like potatoes, and I just gave them a bag, in the summer, and he ate them, and he was like, these are absolutely delicious.
By working with fresh veg, the cooking is easier, the cooking is quicker than something which is old. So you're saving electricity, by having good veg. It's pluses all round, whichever way you look at it, north, south, east and west, growing your own is a bonus.
And you never know, because someone might come along and get that bucket and grow their 1 or 2 potatoes, and then they might go viral and end up working for Gucci as well.
But you could do the same with a few carrots, a few turnips, a few radish. Mm-hmm. You can do the same with most vegetables. But love them. Do not treat them as something, on the side. You've got to love them. I love my veg like I love my children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I talk to them. And I think lots of people sort of talk to themselves when they're on their own. Mm-hmm. So, I talk to my veg. And if it makes me feel good, it's making the vegetables feel good as well. They're returning my love for them by producing for me.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I kind of hope that you don't eat your children and grandchildren, though.
No. I'm from farming stock. We born and brought up on farms, Elizabeth and myself, and we love our animals, but when the time comes that they have to go and be prepared for food, you just do it. You love them right up until they go, and it's the same with everything. You know, it's you love something, you look after it better.
So in terms of your giant veg, we just want to see if anyone can really grow easily something giant at home. What would be the easiest thing to start with if you do want that kind of oversized vegetable look? You know, the one that is obviously Instagram popular, you know, when we see giant marrows, for example. What is the easiest giant veg to start with?
Well,
for the novelty value.
There's nothing to stop. Say if you lived in a flat and you got a patio, you could get a 3 or 4 foot, I'm sorry I'm not metric,
that's cool,
by 4-inch pipe, plastic pipe. You could tie it to the side of your veranda, fill it full of compost. You could grow a carrot seed in there, and that carrot, with a bit of luck, could grow 2 or 3 feet long.
Oh, that's such a cool idea. Wow.
It could happen. You know, I've still got carrots growing now. You know, I've got 4-foot pipes. They're still growing, and on Thursday I'm going to see what they're like.
And that takes a lot of feed then? What sort of regime would you be using?
I mean, we live at the moment in a environment where we're frowned upon to use peat. You know, everything has to be peat-free, and I won't delve into that. But I'm using a material called cocoa core, which is ground up coconut husk, a byproduct of the coconut industry. And it's ground up into a powder, which is like a brown compost. And I'm growing these carrots in core to see if they will be equal to my traditional methods.
Okay.
You know,
that's really interesting, Gerald, actually, because I grow on my allotment and I have really sandy soil, so it's totally great for like carrots and parsnips and stuff. And I tried to grow some things in coir this year, starting the process from sowing seed into it and such on. I did not get on very well with it at all. Sorry for anyone who sells coir products, but it might be me.
I think the actual seed growing is possibly core is too rich. You don't need much protein within the soil for getting your seeds to grow. You need the strength of fertilizer once they're sort of 2 or 3 inches tall. That's when you need fertilizer. So, you know, what I do is fill the tube with core and then have 3 inches of standard wheat compost on the top.
Interesting. Oh, I'm going to give this a little go.
It sounds really cool, but I'm wondering, like, giant veg are usually kind of for the novelty factor, aren't they? But are they as good flavoured? Or do you think that they are? So it's not like the flavour is distributed more and diluted?
There's 2 types of carrot. There's the long exhibition, which is a big long one, and you've also got a stump-rooted variety, and there's several varieties of those. And I grow one called Sweet Candle.
Right.
And I think it's the finest carrot you'll ever eat. Now, you know, with a bit of luck, you'll grow them to 14 inches, and they're as thick as your wrist, and they're beautiful. And they really are a nice tasting carrot. And I can grow that in 55 days, which is about the same time as a traditional carrot.
Yeah.
A few inches.
In 55 days to have a really big carrot, that's pretty good goings. Yeah.
You know, yes. I'm with them every day. You know, I won't take holidays when everything's growing. What can happen if I
even a long weekend?
No, if I go away for a day, you know, I have to put in plans for somebody to look after everything.
Yeah, I do understand that. I think when you do grow your own vegetable, you put so much love into it, don't you? And
Yeah.
especially if you've nurtured something from a seed and then you've got to a point in the summer when they're just about ready to be harvested, or maybe it's very dry and they need watering. Going away can be really stressful. You need someone to come and help out.
I can't do it.
Gerald, but what if Gucci call?
Well,
Yeah.
and hopefully they'll call again in the winter.
Yeah. It's really funny, actually. Most gardeners prefer to holiday over the winter, don't they? Because, to me, I'm away at the moment, and I'm away for quite a few months, and I'm going to be back in the UK on my allotment for March, and it's literally in my diary because I know when I want to start sowing seeds back in the UK again. So my whole year is based around growing my vegetables on the allotment.
You've got your garlic in, have you?
Garlic's in. I've got onions, and I've got onions in as well. And Michael's been down the allotment to harvest the rest of like the summer veg that's still going. You've got
chickpeas, no less.
The chickpeas, yeah. So I grew some chickpeas for the first time this year, and they're not quite ready to be harvested yet, are they? They're still
Do you grow winter crops, sort of Brussels, kale?
Yeah. So there's some kale, there's some Brussels sprouts, there's some little kaleettes. There's still a few cabbages, probably left some cauliflower, purple sprout, and broccoli. And some of that will probably still be okay by the time I get back, or it was last year anyway. The purple sprout and broccoli was. But basically, I grow it because Michael can go and harvest some. I have some friends that help me out. They look after my house plants. They can go and harvest some sprouts for their Christmas dinner, and I really love that. Like, it's not just about growing it for me. I love it when someone else goes and enjoys it.
I give loads of stuff away.
Yeah.
Every day I'm at the allotment, somebody will comment on something and I just give them one.
Yeah.
Handful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the fun, though. There's something nice in doing that, isn't there? It's just very satisfying and rewarding.
But they're going to go home and eat it and think, yes, I might just have a go at this.
Exactly that. Exactly. Totally agree with you, Gerald. Well, it has been such a pleasure talking with you today. I currently feel like I'd like to go off and buy a Gucci handbag or something, but, I can't afford it. So I'm going to stick to a new, veg planning diary or something.
I mean, watch this space. You may just be coming back to me in a few months for another story.
Oh.
Hey.
How about that? Well, Gerald, we look forward to seeing the film and what's going on in your world of vegetable growing. So we might want to talk to you again.
Will. Can I just say one thing regards big veg?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You need the correct seed.
Uh-huh.
You can't grow something big from any old seed. Occasionally, Mother Nature helps and it happens, but on the whole, you need the right seed.
Good pedigree. Yeah.
Yes, I get a lot of my big veg seed from a gentleman called Medwin Williams.
Okay.
He's my god. Apart from my father when he was alive, Medwin Williams is just magic with vegetables.
This is Medwin's of Anglesey, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We've become good friends over the years, and I've got no financial tie-up with him whatsoever. But, he does sell, like if you want to have a go at growing a big cabbage, he'll sell you the correct seed.
Right.
To get a big cabbage.
So he's the guy, basically, whenever you see the absolute perfect vegetables growing on show at any of the shows like the RHS Chelsea and such like, that's Medwin, because they are absolutely epic. They are perfect. They are displayed perfectly. They are incredible. So that's Medwin's of Anglesey.
Yeah, he's magic. He really is.
Two magic veg men. There you go. Thank you so much, Gerald. We've really enjoyed chatting with you. I feel a bit like in my new veg planning diary, I'm going to have a little go at maybe growing something giant next year. That will be...
Yeah, I like this carrot idea.
Yeah. Cool.
Grow a tromboncino.
Yeah, I've never grown them before. Yeah, I've never grown tromboncino.
There.
Pardon?
You've got swan gourds with the bend. Yeah.
Got speckled
Yeah.
swan, yeah, but I've never grown tromboncinos before. So I've got speckled swan. There's some Jarrahdale blue pumpkins, and there's also some daisy gourds there as well. But yeah, I'll have a go at that actually. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel inspired to get a PB myself.
I like to grow things different every year, one or two different things.
Yeah.
This year I grew a squash called a cobra calabasi
Right.
squash, and it looks like a champagne bowl, about the size of a tregnum of
Very
champagne.
cool.
That's
And
cool.
it's two-tone green. And the history behind those, I think they were used in southern India. And apart from eating them, they make receptacles for putting things in.
Right.
And now I've just been told you can make a musical instrument out of it.
That's amazing, isn't it? It's like the birdhouse gourds that you can make into birdhouses.
Oh,
you can fill out
yeah.
the front and stuff. That there's so much that we can grow, and I love the idea of doing something a little bit different each year. I do try to do the same thing. This year, I kind of decided I was going to grow quinoa, chickpeas, and soybeans because I'd never grown them before. And I just must remind Michael while I'm talking about that, I've left a bag of quinoa in my house, Michael. So if you get to Norwich, don't forget to pick it up.
Okay.
You grow radish.
Yes.
Well, instead of sowing the seed thickly, sow the seed one at a time.
Okay.
You would be amazed. Get yourself a 10-litre bucket.
Yeah.
And put like 10 seeds in.
Right.
One at a time. And just keep them wet. And you would be amazed. Every radish will be the size of your fist instead of a little thing like that.
That's cool.
Basically, you can grow your own giant radish, easy peasy then, right?
Yes, you just got to sow the seed individually, not lots and lots, because a lot of beginners sow too thickly.
Yeah.
Less is more.
I love that. Less is more. These are all amazing lessons for listeners on the podcast. So we really appreciate it. I hope it's inspired some people to grow some more vegetables or to start growing vegetables and to follow you online. Where can people find you online, Gerald? What's your tag on Twitter?
My Twitter tag is Gerald Strat43.
There we go.
Cool.
Are you on do you have a website?
Instagram is Stratford Gerald.
Yeah.
And soon there will be some stuff on YouTube.
I've just found you. There you are.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to the YouTube stuff as well, because I'm sure that will be really cool and people will want to follow you to learn how to grow their own veg. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today. We appreciate it. And bless you, Michael. You sneezed at some point.
Sorry. Cool.
Thank
yeah,
you,
really
Mike.
nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, Gerald. See you later.
Bye.
Hi there, it's Lorna, your garden gadget guru on the Plant Based Podcast. I hope you've been having a great week. This week, I thought I'd have a chat to you about some things in my own garden that I found really useful and helpful. So the first one is the Bell & Howell Bionic Spotlight. This is a solar-powered motion sensor spotlight that you can actually hang up, but what I prefer is the stake that comes with it is just pop it in a plant pot, leave the solar panel in the sun, you can tilt it, and then at night, first of all, a little red light comes on. It looks like a security camera that's recording, and then if it senses motion between 6 to 9 meters away, it's going to ping on for 30 seconds. Now, for me, because my dog Sky, she's deaf, she doesn't have any recall, you might be able to hear her snoring again, but for me, when she's out in the garden, I've put it by the shed at the back of the garden where it's really dark. It pings on, she can see what she's doing, and I just think it's one of my favourite garden gadgets. So you can get that on QVC, and it's instant motion sensor lighting without any hassle at all because it's powered by the sun. It's just great. It's been working through the winter, so that's a big favourite of mine. So next one for this week is something very humble. It's a cable tie. Now, I've re-fallen in love with cable ties because it's been so windy recently with the storms and things literally have been blowing left, right and centre. And I found cable ties make great ways to anchor things down, also to use instead of canes with your plants to keep them upright and growing strong. You can really use cable ties in lots of different ways. And very exciting sneak peek here. On the 13th of March, we have a very special expandable faux trellis coming to QVC as a TSV. It actually comes with 16 cable ties, mini ones, to attach to your fence panels, maybe a gate, a balcony. So for me, I was thinking, gosh, the cable tie has so many uses and you can connect ones together to make them longer. And especially during stormy weather, they are just brilliant. So another gadget there. It's not really a gadget, it's just something that's around, but really practical and useful in the garden. And then another one I've just seen new on QVC is Tom and the team at SFix have got a foldable trolley. It carries up to 90 kilos, but it folds flat, and it's £35, which for a metal trolley that holds that amount of weight is just phenomenal value. And I just think if you're carrying huge bags of compost or maybe pebbles and rocks or gravel, you don't want to be lugging them from the car into your house, into the garden, because it can really hurt your back. And I hurt my back last summer, so I know what it feels like. So for me, having a trolley where you can even big boxes and parcels, you can move them in ease at this kind of price is just incredible value. And then the last one is going back to Joe and the team at the Grumpy Gardener this week, because it's their multifunctional 3-in-1 garden tool. Now, this is on offer at the moment on QVC. The price is under £20. You get a telescopic handle. You have 3 different heads. One is the rake broom, which is a bended, curved bristle broom. The nylon bristles are all curved and they grab and hold stuff. So if you're doing wet leaves off faux grass or real grass, it's just incredible. You can sweep up over gravel, you can get stuff out of ponds. Just check out the 3-in-1 multifunctional tool. It is amazing. The other 2 heads, you've got a metal knife, stainless steel knife, 3 different blades for weeding, for reaching things, cutting down things, getting leaves out of gutters, for getting moss out of paving slabs. Really handy. And then a wire brush tool that you can put on the telescopic handle that goes 3 to 5 feet. You can get moss off the stones, the slabs in your garden, off walls. I mean, barbecue grills, it's amazing, old rusty tools. So that's another gadget which is really clever, takes up hardly any room because you can hang up the telescopic handle and then keep the 3 heads nearby. And I just think it's a gadget that's clever because you can also use it indoors. That rake broom you can use if you've got a dog like me who's snoring away, you want to get rid of the dog hair off the wooden floors, off your carpets. The rake broom is just ingenious. So that's just a whirlwind tour this week of some of my favourites. But do look out Sunday, March 13th on QVC for the very special expanding faux trellis coming up. It's something that's just incredible and will just elevate any area of the garden that you put it in or a balcony. Really, really amazing. And the colours this year, wow. Anyway, hope you have a great week and speak to you soon. Bye.
Series 6 of the Plant-Based Podcast was brought to you with the help of Vivara UK. Vivara are a team of garden wildlife experts, and their mission is to make nature accessible to absolutely everyone. They provide plenty of ideas and solutions which can help you to create more wildlife habitats, and that's in large green spaces or even small urban areas. Why not go and join them at vivara.co.uk?
I can't see you, you know.
Oh, well, Ellen, you either want me to see the spreadsheet or see you. I mean, what do you want here?
I think I'd prefer for you to see the spreadsheet so you know what you're talking about.
Was that what that made that you can't see me?
Yeah, I want to see your face. I want to stroke your beard. Your hair grows immensely fast. Your hair grows super fast. Yeah.
I guess so. I'm a Greek. Oh, Ellen, how are you, my dear?
I'm absolutely fine. I'm just full of energy. I don't know how to contain it anymore. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's like
Is that because you're vegan?
It's all the plants I eat, clearly.
I tell you what, Ellen, I didn't have breakfast this morning, and like kind of this slight fasting thing is actually really good for you, because I'd had a bit of an upset tummy for a little while. And my partner kept saying like, oh, well, just do a fast. But sometimes you can't fit in not eating. Do you know what I mean?
You can't fit in not eating?
Sometimes it's hard.
How is that?
I'd been so busy that I hadn't had time to fast. And so I did. And when I went to the gym this morning, and sometimes, you know, like you go to the gym and you've always got this vision that if you don't have something to eat like beforehand, or if you don't take water, you just imagine you're going to die mid-class, but turns out you never do. I don't know. Do you have that fear as well? I don't know.
No, I don't have that fear. I don't have breakfast generally. When I first get up, I have a celery juice usually, or a smoothie.
But
and
that's
then
still something. Yeah.
It's something, and then I work out. But I generally have the celery juice because I get indigestion, and that really, really helps. So then I work out, but I never work out on a full tummy. I always think I'm much better without it in the mornings. But then if I work out later in the day or at night, I will have needed to eat in like an hour or so before.
Yeah, well, I would usually have like had some oats or something like about an hour and a half before. But yeah, so I was on my fasting thing, and honestly, Ellen, I was like you. I was full of cannellini beans. I really was. I think in the kind of like, I don't know if have you ever been to gym classes? Like,
have I ever been to gym classes?
I've just realised that's a really stupid question.
It's a really silly question, but
you probably have been in all your years. Anyway.
Yeah, but carry on.
I'm like, have you just landed from the moon?
But you're vegan.
And I was like, and I think I was probably ahead a couple of times in the class. So I was like, oh my God. And you know what? I still had more in the tank. It was amazing. I was like, it was like an out-of-body experience.
Do you think that there's a possibility that you've been eating too much?
No.
Are you sure? Because sometimes that can really slow us down if we're having...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes. But I think I generally eat, like, good stuff. But I don't know, maybe not for the last week. I don't know. I don't know about you, Ellen, but I'm either one way or the other. I'm either eating really angelic or I'm eating just dirt. There's no kind of balance to it.
More plants, that's the way to go.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, talking about your
also
diet.
Eat dirt. Don't come that with me, woman.
Pardon?
You could also eat dirt.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. We could all eat dirt. I try not to, but yeah, for sure. At the weekend, I had a calzone pizza, a vegan calzone. It was amazing, but it was just full of stuff. Yeah, terrible. Anyway, that's my fail of the week.
Oh yeah. Why don't you? Is that your official fail of the week, by the way?
No, that was just a made-up fail of the week for that moment. But my official fail of the week is something that I have to just say, and that's about Bunny Guinness's article in The Telegraph and her subsequent Instagram post about how gardeners are being deprived of being able to garden or grow properly because of reduction in peat usage. And she has massively missed the mark here.
I need to look up this drama.
You do. And yeah, it's kind of like a fail and a drama all in one go, because peat is important and you can't just go around saying, oh, well, I only use a little, so it's okay. Well, it's not really okay, because if you use a little,
don't even follow her.
If you use a little of a lot of things, then that becomes really bad, and it's not
actually. Ellen, I can see your comment straight away. Actually, so I can read it to everyone. So, hang on, I've got to click to read more. All right, are you happy if I read it to the crowd?
Yeah.
Right. So what was hers? It was, the proposed peat ban wouldn't help UK gardeners, the hort industry, or the environment. Horticulture only uses a minuscule proportion of peat lands at just 0.0 0.053%. Vastly more is drained for other purposes. Why is UK horticulture being penalised? See my monthly diary in today's Telegraph. La 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 la. Ella Mary gardening. So you're saying, I need to do your voice. So you're saying we only use a little, so that's okay. Every bit counts. Every time a peat bog is drained for use, however little you use in the end product, that creates a negative impact. It's setting a wildly bad example to say that just because it's a little, it's okay. I've gardened without peat for so many years, it has never negatively impacted anything. If we still have people fighting to use peat, what else are they accepting because it's only a little? It's about the bigger picture, and this is a surprisingly narrow view. We absolutely don't need peat, so let's leave it where it's meant to be. It's not us being deprived of something because there is a long overdue peat ban. It's the collective community, wildlife, planet, and future generations if we continue as we are. That was your response, Ella Mary.
First of all, Michael, you would be an amazing granny because that's what you sounded like. Do I sound like a granny?
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm looking at the comments and she's got 3 comments on a tray of broad beans and 344 on a picture of the peat. So
well,
yeah,
I think it shows how
pigeon amongst the cats.
It shows how passionate people are about removing peat from the amateur horticulture industry and how important it is to people as well. You know, we've been campaigning for a really long time, and actually in our news roundup last week on the podcast, one of the items was how the wildlife trusts are, you know, campaigning to remove peat even sooner because of how important it is. And you can't ignore that. And it doesn't matter that we're only a little bit of the problem. We should be paving the way. You know, horticulture should be sustainable and environmentally friendly, and we should be setting the example. So anyway, I won't be using peat. I don't use peat, and I think she's missed the mark. And that is my fail of the week.
Well, my fail of the week is slightly more tame and certainly doesn't come with an accent. And, Ellen, I just can't. With the lifestyle I have, I cannot grow seedlings. It is just a mare because to grow seedlings, you kind of got to be with them every day. Like, yeah, of course, if you're growing something like, I don't know, like something really simple, you know, like, I don't know, sweet peas or something, that would be all right. But like when I'm trying to grow like, you know, dancing plant and some Sparmania africana and stuff, it's just because then I'm like, I'll water them a little bit more before I'm then away for like 3 days on the weekend. And then, of course, they've then got potential to sit wet because they're not like a big plant that can then take it. So then oh my God, it's horrible. And my dancing plant died and my Sparmania is literally on life support and it's only just germinated. It's like, I'm just terrible at this, but it's, Have
you got it on an IV drip?
Oh my God. And I've got this kind of vision of like taking my seedlings like in the car, in the glove box, not in the glove box, but in the coffee holder. But you also can't do that because then they're going to get cold. Do you know what I mean? It's just not, I think when you're, I can't grow seedlings until I'm retired. It's not going to work with my working lifestyle. It's just not working.
Is there nobody available
my heart,
to come?
Ellen.
Is there no one available to come and give them a little?
Yeah, but Ellen, who would you really like trust to look after seedlings? You've really got to know what you're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the thing as well. So it's just not practical at all. Yeah,
it is true that no matter what, whether it's seeds or plants or anything else, you know them best because you're there with them all of the time. So.
Yeah, but seedlings is particularly tricky. So it's just, you just can't. Yeah.
Okay.
So well, anyway,
that's your fail
so
of the
annoying.
week. You cannot sow seeds.
Oh.
What about all of the storm damage going on at the moment? How has your garden been?
Oh, well, do you know what, Ellen? I'm really quite laid back about that stuff. Everything was blown around on Thursday and it's now Monday and I haven't picked anything up yet. Because, like, do you know what? The storms kept coming. So I was just like, just stay on the bloody floor. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, But I really I had a load of primroses that I was filming some content with. and I hadn't brought them inside, and then they got lacerated by some hail, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, no. That's upsetting.
And the wind is just, oh, my God. Like, today I was trying to, like, tidy up some bits, like, on the drive, so I could at least walk through there. But it was just then still blowing and blowing the gate shut, and I was just like, I just said, oh, F off to the wind, like it would make a difference. Oh,
and did it blow in the opposite direction?
Yeah. Oh dear. But the bulbs are coming through, Ellen, which is lovely.
Yeah, it's just lovely to see them popping up. But
you know what? I always feel like, you know, when the snowdrops come through, then the aconites come through, and then more and more. I always like, at that stage when the daffodils and tulips come through, I want everything to slow down, because I've actually realised that I quite enjoy spring.
Good.
And I'd like spring to last longer, almost. Because, you know, after the tulips are kind of done, you're then into summer, and it's kind of then things just feel a bit out of control. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, oh my God, we really are into the year. But at that point where it's just daffs and tulips, it's still quite pure. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah, it's kind of pure. But I think if you are busy sowing seeds, spring is really busy time of year. Yeah.
I don't know, Melon. That's cool.
Know. Yeah, and I love spring as well. I've got some bulbs popping up in pots on the balcony, but I'll be back in the UK in just a few weeks, and I planted out loads of new spring bulbs down the allotment.
Oh, that'll be
in my
cool.
garden. Yeah, so I'm really, really excited to go and see what's happened.
As a cutting garden?
I'm all of the flowers I grow on the allotment are for cutting. Yeah,
that's cool. Are they in rows?
They're in rows. Yeah,
that's cool. Oh, I love that. Are they closely planted?
They're closely planted, and they're in rows.
I love that too.
And then they'll pretty much all come up, and I will replant because they're for cutting anyway. So yeah, I'm very.
Oh, I love everything you do, Ellen.
Thanks so much. But I was going to say, I think that my drama of the week is probably, this is a assumed drama of the week, that I keep seeing all of the storm videos and people's greenhouses literally being lifted from the floor and blown like a mile down the road.
Yeah.
Polytunnel covers
or
ripped
cows.
Off, and all of that kind of stuff. And there's some really funny ones online. Like I'm not laughing at people's expense about the greenhouse thing at all, but there is one online where a lady is trying to cover over her patio furniture with like one of those big
I saw this one on Steph's Pat Lunch today.
Covers, and then the wind blows it, so she's basically trapped in it. She's rolling around in the grass, and it is beyond hilarious. Anyway, my assumed storm damage drama of the week is where before I came back to the US, I removed my brassica netting, because usually if it snows and it's heavy, then that would break. So I pulled it all off, and I would be surprised if the frame wasn't down the road somewhere now. So my assumed drama is it's disappeared somewhere.
It might have tangled up over someone's car. Maybe it's netting someone's car for you. It's trapped someone.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. But anyway, there you go.
Honestly. But hopefully it's a bit like I just driven up to Leeds because I'm on a Steph's Packed luncheon tomorrow. But it was really like in Ipswich, it was still stormy, but it was really beautiful driving up like to Leeds. It's really sunny and spring-like and very still. So yeah, it's amazing how different it can be.
Are you getting more storms there then, or are the storms over now? Like what's going?
No. Today was another one, but I think that is the last one. So yeah,
fingers crossed.
TB&H.
Good. We don't want any more dramas on the plot. We don't want to see any more greenhouses blowing away like in the winter.
Do you know what? Sometimes everything always feels like it's this or it's worse or that. But I actually saw a thing on the news earlier, and it said like February usually is like a month with storms in, and apparently last year there was like 2 or 3 in a row as well. But I guess you only ever remember. You don't always remember things like that anyway, do you? So
historically, obviously the storms seem to be getting much worse, and more snow or lengthier cold periods or stronger winds. February has historically been the coldest month. So I think that we come out of January and we're so excited for spring because you do see snowdrops and early.
Yeah, and it's like, not yet, guys.
It's not just yet. Just hold fire. Like, it will come, but we're not. You know, actually, winter is what, December, January, and February. You know, so we're not there. We're not there that just yet.
Because the bulbs, they're such flirty little because they kind of come through, and then there really is a moment where they're just frozen in time. And I remember last year, I remember it so much more poignantly because obviously we were in a bit of an LD situation. And so, of course, like watching your bulbs come through was kind of like your joy of whatever.
Yeah.
But like even this year, I'm kind of like, oh, come the hell on. Do you know what I mean? I'm very excited or dubious or nervous to see which of my tulips actually come back through, because I know a lot of the kind of newer, flashy hybrid varieties don't necessarily, but I wonder what will, you know?
Yeah, well, I think that's part of enjoying the garden, just kind of seeing what will happen. And if it doesn't turn out quite as you want, as in there's not as many blooming, then you'll be like looking through the catalogues later on in the year and picking the ones you want for the following year.
There's already more in there, so it's kind of like it's accounted for, but I just assume not many of them will come back, but I wonder if they might do actually. So
I've had tulips coming back for quite a few years, and there was, I wish I could remember the variety, but it was a lovely lilac colour that we had in our old cottage garden, and I planted them probably like 5 years after we moved in, and they bloomed for 6 whole years. Every 6 years they came up. Yeah,
I think Darwin hybrids are the best perennial ones, I believe.
They might have been. I don't remember what they were or what we planted, but they came up every year underneath a rowan tree and looked so pretty.
Oh, that's cute. I've done a bit. Oh, sorry, darling, you were going to say something.
No, carry on.
Oh, I'll write it down on a post-it note. I went a bit summer bulb obsessed the other day.
Did you? What did you get?
On a Jacquemart website, and I'm quite obsessed with the idea of I really want to find different avenues for houseplants because all this foliage stuff bores the crap out of me. And obviously, you know, we talk a lot about orchids, kalanchoes, things like that. Yeah. But I'm actually a little bit low-key obsessed with flowering bulbs for windowsills.
Okay.
So things that you could grow into the summer, like things like Laconalia, you know, Velphemia, which is like kind of red hot poker-ish for indoors.
Okay.
With slightly different colours, lovely foliage, or Eucomis as a windowsill plant, you know?
For indoors.
And so, so I've ordered loads of these kind of little things that kind of are quite exciting things to grow inside. Because
that's really
Eucomis is, I've grown that indoors before, but it smells of twiglets.
Oh.
The snack. Yeah.
Ew.
But so I've got those, what else? I've got some Pleione as well. Have you grown Pleione?
Have I grown?
Pleione?
Yeah, lots.
Yeah. Oh, do I know that already?
You should do.
You're looking at me like I should know that. Why?
You should. You absolutely should. Look on my Instagram feed.
Where did you grow them?
On the allotment.
Pleione?
Oh, I thought you said...
No, not Pleione, William. Pleione. It's the windowsill orchid. It's like this little tiny one.
Oh.
With a massive flower. Look it up. It's really, really cool.
Oh,
and it's really easy as well. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Well, I think that your house will look amazing and it will smell of twiglets.
Oh, thank you, Ellen. Now, what were you about to say before I railroaded you?
Oh, I don't remember. I think I was going to say, since we were talking in depth about plants, maybe we should talk about what our plant of the week is.
Plant of the week, insert jingle.
What is yours?
Can I go first? It is, look it up on my Instagram or the internet. Tracheospermum asiaticum. It might be Jasminioides, but it doesn't matter. Variety water wheel. Look it up, Ellen Mary. Are you near a computer?
I'm now looking it up.
I don't even know what the flower looks like, but I don't need it. Look at the leaves. Look at the leaves.
Oh, so it's for the foliage.
Wow, that's as far as I've got. But have a look at it, darling.
Oh, wow.
Aren't the leaves? It's like some kind of... It's like an ivy.
It's like
some of those different ivies.
but also it has sort of like a reddish tinge to it. The leaves are thinner.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
Oh, it's really pretty.
Is it? Can you see the flower or not?
I'm just now pulling up a picture of the flower.
I'm just now pulling it up.
Here's the flower. Can you see the flower here?
Oh, boring. But isn't that amazing? The water wheel.
It's very, very nice. I bet it smells beautiful too.
There's so much down in Florida, isn't there? You've probably seen it all.
And Sydney. I can always remember walking around Sydney in the suburbs. There's just be so much of it. And
I wish we could grow it that easily in UK. It's just, yeah.
I've got one growing on the balcony in a big pot. Obviously, it's not water wheel. I couldn't tell you what one it is. I have no idea. But the fragrance is so stunning.
Oh.
My plant of the week is a lantana. It's called Shamrock Pink. And I saw it on LinkedIn by Bull Floraplant. And it's just like a profusion of flowers, like pinkish, yellowish, orangish. And hummingbirds absolutely love it. And it flowers on and on and on. So in a pot, stunning.
You should go to their trials. They'll be in, I don't know, I guess in June.
But where would they be? Like, aren't they in California?
Chicago?
Are they?
No, there will be some in California as well, but I think Chicago is where the HQ is, isn't it?
I'll be in the UK on my allotment in June. Never mind plant trials. I'll be trialling my own plants.
If you were there in April, actually, that's when the Californian pack trials are. Which is kind of like the flower trials in Holland. That would be cool as well.
I'll be back in the UK in March and I'll be there.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the way to October, apart from a couple of like short holiday trips.
Oh, Ellen, we're going to Malvern.
We are going to Malvern, yeah.
Announce it.
I forgot we haven't spoken about that. So yeah, the Malvern Spring Show.
Oh, there's that much going on. We forget key facts.
We're both going to be there, like hosting and speaking and working and everything else. So yeah, that's cool. I'll be hosting the Nurture Theatre.
Being very cool.
We're going to be doing some roving reporting for social media.
Yeah, ding to the dong. Indeed. I'm really excited about that because it's like, I've not been there for years. Have you ever been? I've probably been 20 years ago.
I've never been to Malvern.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of cool different elements there. To be honest, I sometimes prefer those slightly smaller shows. Like, I really like Tatton show as well.
Yeah, Tatton has a nice...
The kind of more, I don't know what to refer to them as, really. Kind of splinter shows. Splinter shows? I don't know.
Still RHS shows.
Yeah, but just
they just have a different vibe. Like, each show has a different vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's cool, Ellen Mary.
Yeah,
Do you have a fan of the week? Insert jingle.
I don't have a fan of the week, but I've reserved my space for yours because I think that's an epic fan of the week.
Oh, bless you. Well, I'm just like fan of the week for us fans. We're fans of them, but like the YPHA, Young Horticultural People's Association. I always forget what it means. But they're really on fire at the moment. Kind of like they had their event at Wisley. They've kind of done some really great social media on the back of it. And yeah, really, really cool. And they're highlighting some unique careers in horticulture and really kind of, I think they've just got it right. And they're obviously great fans of us, which is another way they've got it right.
Said with no arrogance at all.
But no, they're really, really cool guys, Ella Mary.
Okay, well, that's a big shout out to YPHA, Young People in Horticulture Association. And they're everywhere online, so go check them out. Yeah, okay, well, it's nice chatting to you, laying down like you usually are.
Well, if you want to do a meeting at like 9 p.m. in the evening when I'm in a Holiday Inn Express in Leeds, then you're going to get it horizontal. Honestly, you drive me mad.
Well, thank you so much for fitting me in.
No worries. Signing off.
It's been a pleasure as always. Oh, I can't find the button.
The music for the Plant-Based Podcast is part of the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editor is Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.